The following program is rated TVMA. Viewer discretion is advised.
Howdy, 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 howdy. RJ Smith here, and you've landed where? Crazy News Reacts, where I give you my reactions to some of the most ridiculous news stories in the world. Without further ado, let's jump right in because we have something very important to talk about. Number one, this year, airlines misplaced kids traveling alone on planes. One ended up all the way in Puerto Rico. And this is what I saw.
It's the panic no parent hopes to experience when sending their child off on vacation.
He has flown with us many times before, but it's the first time flying alone.
Ryan Lose's 16-year-old son, Logan, was set to fly from Tampa International to Cleveland. Logan noticed passengers at his gate boarding, so he joined them.
He goes up to the gate attendant. They check his personal item in the little slot, and then they look at his phone, which has the boarding pass. They don't ever scan it and set it down and scan it, which would have just alerted them, saying, "Hey, this is not the right flight."
Say, what? How could they possibly look at a boarding pass and let a young kid go on to the plane without any sort of questions? I mean, even if you're looking at the boarding pass, right? It says from where, like TPP was Tampa International, that's where I'm from. And then it has your destination. So I go to New York a lot. It would be JFK. Even if you don't have the app, but this kid had the app, and that means he had what? An electronic boarding pass. So how the hell does this happen, folks?
Alerted them, saying, "Hey, this is not the right flight."
But Logan was instead about to head in the opposite direction.
Exactly like Home Alone 2, where Kevin puts on the music and the flight attendants start talking about where they're going, and he can't hear anything. That's exactly what happened to Doug.
Dad? Frank? Buzz?
Most of us remember Kevin, right? Macaulay Culkin, 20, 30 years old, this movie, something like that. That was an issue then for them to put it in the script, right? So how though? And these freaking airlines not figure this out. They can move dogs, they can move luggage. Well, they can't really move that because they lose that shit all the time, right? Frustrating.
Turns out it was the wrong flight, and Logan landed in Puerto Rico.
If he would have landed in another state, I could have just gotten in the car and drove, had him on the phone and said, "Hey, Logan, just don't do anything. Just stay there. I'll be there in X amount of hours." I can't do that when he's in Puerto Rico.
Frontier allows children 15 and older to fly alone, but doesn't offer an unaccompanied minor program involving airline-provided escorts for minors.
What? They don't have an unaccompanied minor policy at Frontier Airlines, and they just got a huge hub right here in St. Pete, Florida. This does not look good for them. Let me tell you something. If my son got on a plane and he was supposed to go to Tampa and ended up going to Puerto Rico, be at the courthouse Monday morning hiring an attorney. Because, Jesus, we have enough problems keeping track of our kids without these freaking idiots not doing their jobs.
Frontier tells me both the San Juan and Cleveland flights left from the same gate, with the San Juan flight departing first. In a statement about the situation, the airline said, quote, he was immediately flown back to Tampa on the same aircraft.
And what the hell does that mean about using the kid to begin with? What does that matter? What about losing the kid to begin with? Should have been nipped in the bud when he left his departure gate. Now they want to say we took him right back. They take care of everything and don't worry. And oh, here's a couple $100 for your trouble. No, no, no. It doesn't go like that. I'm going to lose my kid and send him 1,000 miles away to Puerto Rico and offer me a $200 compensation towards a future ticket. Never fly on your airline again. So what good is the ticket, folks? What the fuck?
There you go.
This mistake was the talk of the family's mobile coffee shop,
So my first reaction is panic.
as Los's dad reflected on how helpless he felt.
And he's panicking. He's scared. He doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't know what he's going to do. And I can't be there to keep him safe, which is just killing for a father.
The flight to Puerto Rico left about 2 hours before the one to Cleveland, with both jets boarding from the same gate. Los says his son was told he was getting on the right plane, but Frontier did not scan the boarding pass to verify that.
That's the problem, right? I mean, they didn't scan the boarding pass. No amount of feel-good money is going to take care of this. You know what I mean? It's just something where you have to demand accountability. Otherwise, it'll keep happening to other kids till a kid lands at the wrong airport, like Miami International, and then It's human trafficked. I mean, it's really that dangerous where they sent this kid. Can't even make heads or tails of this. This is just one of those like, damn, that's some weird shit.
Jennifer De La Cruz tells me in an email he was able to board as a result of an error on the part of the boarding agent. He was immediately flown back to Tampa on the same aircraft and accommodated on a flight to Cleveland the following day. Making it worse was what Lowe says was Frontier's initial denial Logan was on the wrong flight.
And they kept just brushing it off, saying, no, that's not possible. It can't happen. And then when they did finally realize their mistake and said, oh, yeah, it looks like Logan did get on the other plane, they just went, sorry. And that was it.
Frontier spokesperson tells us the airline extended its sincere apologies to the family for the error. And Lowe says they did offer a $200 travel voucher.
So they offered me a voucher to an airline that just lost my son. I want accountability. These airlines are not being held accountable for the negligence.
Let me see if I understand this, guys. The kid is in Puerto Rico, calls his father. His father and mom, of course, freak the out, right? Just like any of us would. And then the airline argues with the father that there's no way in hell that Frontier flew this kid to Puerto Rico. But he's in Puerto Rico. How do you get there if you didn't do it? I mean, there's no accountability, and they didn't even want to acknowledge the mistake. They had no choice. This is an airline out of control. Regulators need to get on it before a kid really does make it to his destination and disappear.
USA Today reports that's exactly what happened to one woman, Amber Venzel, when her two sons, 114 and 112, were on an American Airlines flight from Missouri to Syracuse, New York last year. She even purchased the company's unaccompanied minor chaperone service, which they require for kids under 14, for $150. It's supposed to make arrangements for accommodation and supervision in the event a flight is canceled at a connecting airport, which is exactly what happened to Venzel's kids. However, instead of a babysitter and a hotel room, her kids ended up missing all night.
Let's just marinate a little bit on that. They were missing all night when the airline could have very easily, with a couple click of the keys like these right here in front of me, find out where these kids are. And this is now American Airlines. So it's not just the cheap Frontier Airlines. It is the big guys too.
Venzel says she initially received a call saying they would be on the first flight the next day, but then received an email with conflicting information. When she tried to get in touch with American Airlines, she was unable, leading her to worry about what exactly was going on. According to American Airlines' own description of the unaccompanied minor chaperone service, it includes early boarding, a kids-only lounge, and an airport escort. But somewhere the system clearly broke down, and eventually Venzel was able to locate her kids via a third party in a, quote, lost children's room, where they spent the night with no food or water.
What? No food or no water? Certainly no supervision. Oh my God. Jesus, this is so sad. It's funny. I mean, I don't mean to be laughing. It's not a funny issue, guys. You know me. I just can't put my arms around this one. Feel good. No, just because you find them a day later doesn't let you off the hook. Wow.
Good morning, Mitch. Well, this mother dropped her daughter off at the American Airlines gate in Chattanooga. She was told that an American Airlines chaperone was going to stay with her daughter until the father picked her up here in Miami, but that never happened. Instead, this 12-year-old girl walked around for more than an hour. And if you've ever been here to Miami International Airport, you know it is a large airport. It is one of the busiest ones in the country. And to have a 12-year-old girl here alone all by herself is both scary and dangerous.
This is the third child, the second for American Airlines. They would figure this shit out, right? It's important. Miami International Airport is the gateway to South America. Anyone could have grabbed that child's hand and brought him on the plane and disappeared. This is unacceptable corporate behavior. And to hold them accountable, unfortunately, you have to take them to court because corporations only understand one thing, money. And when you hit them with money, it might change their policies, But if you don't take them to court, there's no accountability at all. Young girl, wow. Miami International, Jesus.
An emotional Maribel Martinez describes the 3 excruciating hours she waited for her 5-year-old son to arrive at JFK on a JetBlue flight from the Dominican Republic.
And then I am told he is not there, and I say, oh my God, what did you do to him? Where is he at?
Cell phone video shows Andy Martinez in the black hat passing through the boarding gate at the Santiago airport on August 17th. But somewhere along the way, a passport mix-up sent Andy to Boston and another 5-year-old boy to JFK.
Two 5-year-olds now are coming up missing. Again, Miami International Airport. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. Hold on. These are very busy airports. And if you've been there, you know what they're like. A child that young would get lost, freak out, and could very easily fall into the wrong hands. 5 years old. Guys, I hope this is helping you realize your kids aren't safe on planes unless you're with them.
She goes to see him. It's not her child. It's another child with her son's passport. 5-year-old boy. For 3 hours, she believes her son may be kidnapped.
I was told to wait. The police arrived. I was desperate, going crazy. I still am.
Martinez says she did everything right, even paying the extra $100 fee to have her son accompanied by a flight attendant since he was traveling alone.
Wait, JetBlue now? Another low cost carrier. And the woman was given the wrong child? What the fuck is going on, guys? Wrong child to the parents. And the parents had to tell you, sorry, this isn't my child. You gave them. Oh, boy.
Jet flew you to make this right for you.
I asked them not to ever do it again.
The family wants investigators to look into where the flight attendant assigned to Andy was and whether the boys switched passports, and if so, how. JetBlue apologized to the Martinez family and even offered them $2,000 in future flight vouchers, but the family says, no thanks. They'll never fly with the airline again.
I got to tell you, this was a little scary for me. When it comes to kids, I have a soft spot because when I was a kid, I had a really, really bad time. I'm talking about young, 5 years old, all the way up to 15. I mean, I just had no mom. I had no family. I know what it feels like to be lost, where nobody wants you, or nope, you can't find your home. You can't contact your parents. It's the worst fear I ever felt in my life as a child. I can't even imagine what these kids are going through. But hopefully, this episode is a wake up call for a lot of us, right? Next time you want to put your kid on an airline, you're turning over your flesh and blood to the care of a corporation. You need to make sure they have a good track record. For me, only Delta Airlines. That's the only one I would go to if I needed to send a child on a trip because they do assign a flight attendant, they do assign a guardian. It's a very different experience. Thank God that these were not my kids because I would be on here raising even more hell. And beyond raising more hell, I would be suing the fucking shit out of these people.